Welcome to this tutorial on the large assembly tool. This video is going to be covering the large assembly, how to adjust the settings and how to embed it into your landscape. So the first thing we'll want to do is drag in the BP large assembly, and then we'll want to swap the default low poly mesh for a high poly one. We're using a model that we got from Megascans. So as you can see, the system's working correctly and the low poly models are spawning onto our high poly mesh. The next thing we'll want to do is adjust the meshes which are spawning on our main assembly. So let's swap out these low poly models for some high poly ones. The reason for swapping these meshes now is if we start adjusting the settings with the low poly models, then they're not going to match the scales of the high poly ones. By default as well, this system has a low density to begin with, and the user has control over how many meshes spawn on this assembly or how many meshes don't spawn on it. The reason for this is to keep it really optimized, so any computer can run this system fine, and if you do need a more detailed assembly that's going to be close to the foreground, you can increase the max point, and this will give you a lot more detail on your model. Another unique thing about the system is not only does it spawn meshes on the assembly, but it spawns meshes around the assembly. So you can see we've got some fallen trees and snowy hills and things like that spawning around. And we'll come back to these in a second. First of all, our grass that we've swapped out is a bit too low in scale. So let's increase that up. And now you can see we've got grass spawning on the assembly. And let's increase the density of the rocks as well. And these fallen trees are looking a bit too dense, so let's reduce this. And there we go. I think that blends in a bit better. The scaling of the exterior meshes also works on a distance base, so we can have larger rocks spawning around the edges of the assembly, and the further they go away from it, then the smaller they get. And I think the assembly's looking a bit bare, so let's adjust the tree density now. I think that's looking quite natural compared to the spline biome we have. So let's see how we duplicate the assembly. You want to click on the blueprint and then head over to the PCG settings. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see activated. If we turn this off, the PCG graph will no longer update, and we should be able to duplicate our blueprint a lot easier this way. The reason we deactivate the PCG graph is it's trying to calculate every time you move this. So you're going to have a bit of issues if you do move the graph with the PCG system on. And now we can reactivate this, clean up, and generate. And as you can see, we've now got two individual assemblies. The other thing we can do as well, with the duplicated assembly, we can edit this PCG system completely separate to the original one. And that's it for this system. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next part.